Social Studies Quiz, April 2013. Question 1. How do Mexico's resources influence its relationships with Canada and the U.S.? Mexico has a number of valuable resources, but has not yet achieved the level of economic wealth that would enable the development of these resources without foreign investment or increased exports. Mexico produces more silver than any other nation in the world. Mexico is the 7th largest producer of oil in the world. Mexico has land and a suitable climate for producing fruits and vegetables for export. Mexico has a large fishing industry off the Baja California Peninsula. Mexico also has beautiful beaches and forest areas and a tropical climate that encourage tourism. Canadian and American companies are able to produce manufactured goods in Mexico at a lower cost than they can in their own countries, and it is easy to transport goods between Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. The U.S. is a large market for petroleum products from Mexico's reserves of oil and gas. Mexico exports crops such as fruit, vegetables, and coffee to Canada, where the climate will not allow us to grow them. Question 2. What issues and challenges are common concerns for the U.S., Canada, and Mexico as a result of population growth and economic development? In all three countries, the extraction of resources and movement of people to urban areas are having negative impacts on the natural environments and on social issues. Industrial pollution and overcrowding in large cities puts strain on water supplies, waste management, and energy consumption. Irrigation and overgrazing to produce more food can damage the land over time. Deforestation takes place to extract natural resources or to create more agricultural land. The loss of forests contributes to climate change and to problems related to erosion. The use of fossil fuels for energy to power industry and meet the needs of people produces greenhouse gas emissions, causing pollution and contributing to climate change. Rapid urbanization and the increased movement of goods and services also contribute to social challenges such as the illegal drug trade and the spread of communicable diseases. Question 3. Using information from the graph below, determine which economic sector in Mexico has seen the most benefit from NAFTA. Which has been affected the least? What might some reasons for these trends? Manufacturing has continued to increase since the beginning of NAFTA. Agriculture has declined slightly. This may be because the terms of NAFTA and low wages for workers have encouraged foreign investment in manufacturing through the establishment of maquiladoras. Question 4. What are some similarities and differences in the ways contact with European cultures affected indigenous peoples in Mexico and Aboriginal peoples in Canada? Indigenous peoples in Mexico and Aboriginal peoples in Canada were displaced and had fewer rights and freedoms than their colonizers. Most experienced loss of culture, language, and traditional knowledge as they adapted to European culture and religion. Some died from diseases that they had no previous contact with or immunity to. Some of the indigenous peoples of Mexico were conquered and forced to work as laborers, and land and resources were taken over by colonizers. Land claims and the fur trade disrupted the way of life for Aboriginal peoples in Canada. In the Plains area, the main source of food, the buffalo, was systematically destroyed. In Canada, treaties established agreements about the use of land and resources and the rights of some First Nations. In Canada, the government passed the Indian Act in an effort to assimilate First Nations peoples and regulate aspects of their lives, such as where they would live. In Mexico, many indigenous groups remained where they were and continued to speak their own languages. Today, 3 out of 5 Mexican people have mixed Spanish and Indigenous heritage. In Canada, the number of Métis people is estimated to be less than 1% of the total population. Question 5. How does Canada participate with others to help resolve conflicts among nations? Canada has been an active member of the United Nations since it was founded. The United Nations involves nearly every country in the world in cooperating to bring international peace and security, and by helping to improve quality of life and protect human rights. Canada has led and participated in the work of a number of UN committees and agencies such as UNESCO and UNICEF, and our military has been involved in both peacekeeping and combat missions as part of UN coalition forces. Question 6. Use what you have learned about the climate, landforms, and resources of Mexico to explain the population density illustrated in the map. The hot, dry, desert-like conditions of the northern region make it difficult to grow crops for food, so fewer people live there than in other parts of the country. There are also fewer people in the mountainous central region of the country. There has always been more migration and settlement in the central area where the climate is cooler and there is enough rainfall to support crops and pastures. Mexico City, with a population of 20 million people, is located in this area. Oil and natural gas reserves and related industries have influenced population growth along the eastern coastline and areas of the Yucatan Peninsula. Other factors influencing higher population density along the coastlines are access to shipping and employment in the manufacturing industry. Manufacturing has also influenced an urbanization along the northern border, especially near California and Texas. Question 7. Describe Canada's participation in an international organization to cooperate with other countries to solve a problem. Include information about the purpose or goals of the organization, the project or activities involved, and Canada's role in these efforts. Answers will vary according to the example chosen. Examples might include health, human rights, economic development, disaster, relief, or trade relations organizations. Question 8. How has Canada's immigration policy changed to become more fair? Provide an example from the past that demonstrates unfair or discriminatory treatment of immigrants. What has been done to rectify the situation? Answers will vary according to the example chosen. Examples might include the internment of Eastern European and Japanese Canadians during the First and Second World Wars, the Head Tax and Chinese Immigration Act, the refusal of the Komagatu Maru, and the Continuous Passage Act. Canada's immigration policy no longer evaluates potential immigrants by their country of origin, but by a point system in an effort to be more fair and less biased.